so I didn't realize how easy it is to edit stuff. So like I was on the webinar last week and
Yes.
then I listened and made notes, but honestly, not until you go in and you attempt to do it, do you really learn. And you have to, so basically what I did was there's another, then I went onto your YouTube channel and there was something about blogs and it was like a 2-minute 57-second video. And I went and like I followed that and I did it, but I don't even know if it worked. Like it did it show, like it showed that it's saved, but I'm not sure if it worked. And then like, what do you do? Like, what do I do with it now?
Okay. So do you mind me sharing your blog?
No, that's fine. It's, I mean, it's kind of lame. I used 4 or 5 articles to put information together. I think it needs a little work, but I don't mind you sharing for sure.
Okay. So did you, so it's the COVID one that you posted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so it shows up then.
Yeah, it is on there. So let me just share my screen. And I want that screen share. So this is your blog right here. So it is on the website itself. So visitors can go on here and read what is in here.
Okay.
So that's great that you actually took the time to do that. And now you're like, well, what do I do with it? So one of the things that you can do is create hyperlinks. Do you know how to create hyperlinks, Asya?
No.
Okay, so let me just go into my training site here. So for all of you guys watching, well, the challenge last week was creating a blog post and then sharing that blog post. So blogging on your website regularly will over time increase your SEO rankings on Google, because Google will start to identify your website as being updated regularly with, original content. So you never want to copy a blog post from somebody else. If you see a blog post that's, a great, looks like it's a great, topic, put it in your own words. If you actually copy someone's word, like, blog word for word, it will actually have a negative impact on your website. So you don't want that to happen. So in your blog, Asya, when basically you're having the editor on, we'll just go into read more. So to add a hyperlink, it would be like taking text, like whatever it may be. And if there's something relative in your site or externally, then you would link it. So how you would link it is you just highlight that text and then you click the chain link. And so when you click the chain link, it's going to ask you, where do you want that to link to? Someone clicks on that, where are they going? So if it has to do like on your blog post, wherever I put it, let's see if there's anything in here. Public only need to be basis. So you could even include something you like to review the latest, Treb stats, go here, and then the go here could link them right over to where the Treb stats are. So that's where you can do like the linking in there. I'm just trying to see if there's by home.
Also, I probably needed to put words in that would be searchable, right?
Well, well, so you've got keywords in here, but like, so like back where the global recession, their default, and you're putting this would have likely come from some sort of source. Like you obviously have the knowledge of it, but if you could find an article that is from like the Globe and Mail or a past article that talks about that global recession back in 2008 and 2009, link this to that article. So you do that, and so Google starts to look at that you are, you're adding relevant content on your website, plus you're also encouraging traffic to other websites, and so they encourage it, and it does have positive impact. So try to, when you can, include 2 to 3 hyperlinks, whether they're internally linking. If it was something to do with like, to see what the daily, like what listings look like right now, you can link it over to like a page with listings within your website. But, trying to do that. Another thing that you can do is have a photo. for that
Yeah,
blog post.
I don't know how to add it.
Okay, so when you have the photo, it's just right here. You just change the feature image. You'll see a blue button that says change featured image. And then you can either upload your own image and use that, or you can use like a stock image that we have for that blog post. And then that will show up on the blog as well for you. So similar to, you know, if I change.
So that was in the edit button?
Yes. Yeah. So when
Okay.
you're editing the blog post, you will see like add a blog post image to that.
Oh, on the right
well.
side. On the right
Oh,
side?
yeah. So you're in the edit to ever edit
Yeah.
your blog. Like you always have to pull, even if you create the blog post, you'll always have to click the content editor in order to add content essentially to it. Like you can change the size of these. So if you want these to be like really small, like you can, for whatever reason, you can definitely do that. But yeah, so when you have that, you'll see change featured image. You just change the image to whatever you want. And then that's what's going to show here, as well as if you share this on social media, that's the image that will also show on social media that's relevant to
Okay.
your blog post. Yeah.
And then the buttons at the bottom where it says Facebook, Instagram, whatever, I could select them and I could share it, right?
Yeah, so you can definitely just go share, click on that button, and then you can share it. Well, you got to log in, but then yeah, you just share it to your Facebook. If it allows you to share it to your page, I always encourage that you share it to your business page and then from your business page to your profile. If that's, because I see a lot of people do it the other way around, but trying to get it on your business page first. So it's like original content to your business page and then to the external like profile page, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's keyword section. How do you know which keywords to put in?
Well, it's just relevant to what your blog is about, right? Like real estate, COVID, whatever it may be in your case. You also have at the bottom, when you have your blog, you have your blog post settings here down at the very bottom. So if you click on that, you can actually add those keywords, these meta keywords in the description. So the keywords are keywords of things that are going to help pull up this article in Google search results. And then the description also, and make sure you're including those keywords, but in the entire description, you know, not too long, but a description of what someone would actually find on that page, the information on there. So you can do that as well. And yes, so somebody is asking if we can review filters. I want to be able to zero my homepage where new contacts register, setting filters up, and how exactly use these filters so the clients are then moved off the main page. Makes sense? Question mark. Yeah, so the clients will never be moved off the main page, just so you are aware. That's why we're using the main filters, or the filters to do that. But I'll show you guys how to do that in just a second here. And let's just so you guys know, Ravi and John, I've just allowed you guys to speak. Your microphones are going to be muted until you unmute them, but only unmute them if you are talking, just so that we're not getting any of your background noise. Should, you know, a lot of us are at home with things going on around us and what have you. So. But yeah, so that was a good start, Asia. So just with respect to your blog, let me just close to my windows because I've got way too many things open and I just closed something I didn't mean to. Oh, well.
And we can add videos to the blog post too, right?
Yes, yes, you can. So in your blog post itself, if you want to add a video, basically, so you can see I have a video here, is in the content of your blog post, what you're going to do is, so if your video could either be a Facebook video, it could also be a YouTube or Vimeo. So regardless of whatever it is, if I'm on YouTube, for example, you're going to share that that video. So give me 1 second here. So just click on this one. And so what you do is you share it, and then you grab the embedded code. So you take this code, you copy it, and then in your blog post itself, where is my, so in your blog post itself, you're going to click on the source option. Okay, so when you click on source, this is where, so I'm going to put it up at the top, let's say, you're going to paste that iframe in there and then just go okay. And then you can see the iframe here. Again, clicking outside the box anytime you make any changes or add text here to prompt the save. And then when we turn that off, we'll be able to see the video in there.
Okay.
Okay, so if you guys have like, you know, blogs, for example, and you can create blog categories as well. So if you want to, the main blog page and the blog post updates will always show all the blogs in these, like if they're just going to the blog page or they're looking here. But if you wanted to create blog post categories, you can. So if you have one that's like in the community, you know, real estate stats, just for fun, all that stuff, you can actually, you know, for buyers, for sellers, whatever it may be, you can categorize your blog posts. So if people are trying to find articles for buyers, they can usually find all your articles related to buyers as well. So if you if you want to create a new blog category, you go to the main one and you like the main blog page, and then you go add new blog, add new category. And then basically you create the category. So it's, you know, like, you know, just for fun, just for fun. And then you just ask itself exactly, you know, where is this going? It's going under the blog as this parent category, you know, add the page and edit it. And then you can start throwing the blog in here if you wanted to. So if you wanted to add a new blog post, then you can start adding blog posts, but you'll see in here, it shows in the drop down as one of your categories. So visitors can easily find that. So the thing that you would want to do is like with those articles, again, is sharing them on social media, right? Because you want people to come into your website to review those articles. So if you're talking about something that a lot of people are sharing on social media and talking about, you know, dumb it down and put it in your own words. Make it easy for the average individual to be able to essentially comprehend and understand it. Because a lot of time those articles can be confusing, especially when they're dealing with numbers and mortgages and stuff like that. If you're able to simplify it, then do so. And then just reference the original article. So if it came from the Globe and Mail, you know, for the full article, go here, and then have that hyperlink where they can link over at that point. But if you're sharing that on social media, anyone that's sharing it, it's going in front of their audience, right? So you're just increasing the overall presence, essentially, of everything. So does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I would say, yeah, no worries. So I would just say, like, you know, if you can, try to blog once a week about something. There's always content there. There's always topics to read on. The last one I did, I gave, let me just see. Just use this one. Real estate blog ideas is what I searched. And there was one that I found that I sent over to you guys. Which one was it? I'd have to find it. Could have been this one. Yeah, it was this one. So realestatemarketingblog.org. And it gives you different ideas. So like, you know, the neighborhood, things you can write, you know, buyer and seller stuff, like all the different topics that you guys could write about, you know, home maintenance topics, listings, loans, moving related, that sort of thing. So you guys can, you know, sometimes it's just trying to find the idea of what to write about. There's 100 of them here. So you can, it just gives you the basis for that, essentially. Does anyone else have any questions with respect to the blogs at all? No, I don't, no one's popping up. Okay. So the filters. So like, as I mentioned, these leads will always be here. They will never fall off of this first page, okay? Because it just keeps going. This is your database of the entirety of all your leads. So that's where your filters are used to reduce these numbers. So if you're looking to pull up all the people that you haven't called yet, okay? So this one here, what you do is you would add the filter, number of calls is equal to 0 in this sense. And then the phone validity, because this is a call list, we are only going to have valid numbers popping in here and numbers that are unknown. So we don't know if they're valid or not, but we haven't deemed them to be invalid at that point. And then the pipeline is for individuals in this sense that we have not made contact with or moved any further through the pipeline. So their pipeline is either on not set, new lead, or tried to contact. So that is your list. That would show you your list of people that you still need to call. You've never tried calling yet, that you potentially can call. Your goal is to always have this as 0. Now, if you wanted this filter to be the filter that you, when you log in, this filter is always like applied, you would actually click this little button right here, set it as a default filter, and then every time you log in, it's just going to show you all these people you haven't called yet that you need to call. And then you can always remove that default filter as well. So you're not stuck with it forever, but that's one way to go about that. Your next filter is going to be your number 2. You can call these whatever you want to call them. It's just kind of getting into the habit of calling people. So this one here, you would filter to the number of calls is equal to or less than 8, meaning you're going to call these leads at least 8 times. Nothing has changed with respect to the phone validity or the pipeline. But we've added this 4th filter, which is they have not been contacted by phone, and it's all leads within the last 2 days. So naturally, as you call a lead, the first call you make, they're not all going to answer, but we have to keep calling and being consistent with our calls in order to get them to answer. So calling every day for a total of 8 calls is 2 weeks of calling a lead. If you don't get them to answer by that 8th call, you're going to reduce this to once a week as long as they've been active within the last 30 days. You just want to focus your efforts on the people that are active first and foremost, but are worthy of your time. You've engaged, you tried to engage, they're non-responsive, they just deserve less of your time at this point. And that may change. They may all of a sudden become active and responsive. Everyone's situation right now is different. This is, so Ravi, how do we prioritize calls? So this is where you're prioritizing your calls here is for your filters. Really, your number 1 and number 2 here, these should be cleared out daily, and these should only account for about 15 minutes of your time working on these leads. The rest of your time is focused on those individuals that you've made contact with, because now it's nurturing those leads to the point of conversion. The first initial contact is really just to see what brought these people into their website, what their situation looks like, any motivations, and really just info grabbing from that person so that you know exactly how and when to funnel them through the process, whether their move is within the next 2 months or 2 years, for example. So as you call people off your number 1 list, they won't show up in here. So they fall off of here. So if I was to call this lead right now, which obviously hasn't had a call in a while, they would fall off this list and they wouldn't show up here again for another 2 days. So they wouldn't show up here tomorrow, but they would show up again the following day. So it's always just going to tell you who to call when you do that. Now, the fastest way to get through these leads is using your dialer. So if you use your dialer and call these leads, we have what we refer to as the 4-ring rule, which again, when you're doing leads and you're working your database, your goal is to have as many conversations as you can. So if you're constantly waiting for the voicemail to kick in every single time or leaving a voicemail, it's going to take you on average a minute, sometimes a minute and a half per person just to do that. So if you only have 15 minutes, well, you might get through 15 people, maybe. Whereas if you do the 4-ring rule, you might be able, if you have 15 minutes, you actually might get through 30 people in that time frame. So 4 rings is roughly 23 seconds. 23 seconds is quite long if you have no intentions of answering the phone. Next time your phone rings, wait 23, see how long it's ringing, at 23 seconds. It's a substantial amount of time for somebody to actually answer the phone. So you would call this person, let it ring about 23 seconds, and then it should ring 4 times, keeping in mind that if you don't hear the ring doesn't mean it's not ringing on the other end, right? So 4 rings, you hang up, and then you would click on the next lead. And then you call Tyrone, and then you do the 4 rings. If they don't answer, you click on the next lead. And so if you do that 4-ring rule, you would have contacted these 3 leads in about a minute to a minute and a half. So you would accomplish, 2 to 3 times more by doing the 4-ring rule rather than, letting it hit voicemail every single time or leaving a voicemail every single time. Does that make sense to everyone? Really, you just want these emptied out daily. And again, it should only account for, depending on your lead load, of course, but should only account for about 15 minutes, 30 at max, depending on your lead load of your time, so that you can focus on the nurturing of those that you have connected with. Now, if you have a significant list in your number 1 filter, when you create like your number 1, so for example, 58 people in here, I wouldn't call 58 people the same day. I would call 20 of them a day, because it's going to compound. So the 20 people I call today, I'll have to call again Sunday if they didn't answer. And so if I call 20 more people tomorrow, I would have to call those people again on Monday. And so it just keeps compounding. The numbers will reduce, but people will answer. Typically by the 8th call, if you're consistent, just out of sheer curiosity. They want to see who it is that's calling them. You're never leaving a message, and you're calling at all different times. We've all probably been in that situation where we just finally answer the phone because we just want to know who it is that's trying to call us. So those are those 2 filters. And then you have the individuals that you've made contact with. So when we do the made contact, what we look at is pipeline. I typically set it to made contact, set meeting. And then the ones that are our priority are the ones that have been active, so last activity. And then you would do this filter here. So you go all leads within the last number of days, if you want to specify the exact number of days, and then you just go 30, and then you go apply. And so these are the priority for the people that you've made contact with, because they've been active. It's not that the other ones aren't as important, it's just they haven't been active. So if you guys are pressed for time, these are the ones you need to focus your efforts on. Now, if you have more time, you can flip this. You can go is not. So I want to pull up all the leads that haven't been active in the last 30 days, and it'll give me that list of individuals, so you can start going through those individuals as well. Now, when it comes to these leads, essentially is trying to add those timelines in and using the tags, okay? So the tags are your identifiers as to who that person is without having to go fully in depth into their account. Because if, let's say Naila here, she was a lender loss, she couldn't get financing and has no intentions of fixing her credit, for example, and you just spoke to her 14 days ago, her situation hasn't changed in 14 days. Right? So you can kind of skip over her and modify your follow-ups accordingly. Whereas if she was like a hot buyer where she's been pre-approved and she's got a timeline of like within the next 3 months and you haven't spoken to her in 14 days, you best be picking up that phone and calling Naila to see what's going on with her home search and so on. So once you do that, so when you want to add the timeline, I'm not sure if all of you guys know how to do that. So the timeline is just located at the bottom of your lead, and you have this buying in and selling in timeline. So you have both of them. You can select your options. When you can select something, even if it's unknown, for example, because you're just not sure, that sort of thing, or just ballpark it, just depending on your conversation, you have to, kind of be the judge of that. And then if you're adding the tags, you just simply click on the plus sign and add the tags. Do you guys have, all of you guys have the sample tags?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the sample tags are there just as a guideline. I do encourage that you use them for the most part, but you can definitely modify them. Use what fits for your business. It's really there to just help you, and again, give you that quick synopsis as to who a specific lead is without having to fully jump into their account and go through all your notes. And, you know, that's wasting valuable time having to do that if you find out in there that they're like a dead end, for example. Whereas if you had tags on there, you wouldn't even bother going into those note sections. So you can add tags just simply clicking add tag, and you can do, let's just see. There's some in the list that I like add as I'm doing it. So one I add for some, which is more common these days, is a blended family. So blended family is essentially what I consider as two families moving in together, whether it's, you know, two like couples or a couple moving in together, or it could be, you know, moving in with their parents, or they're gonna, you know, share, that sort of thing. And then you just click on the icon. And so all my situations here, except for this one, for whatever reason, are yellow. So I would select yellow so that they're all the same. And then because it has this S, all the situation tags get grouped together, because this is going to be in alphabetical order for you guys. And then you just select the one that you want, and then you apply it to the lead. In that sense. So that's going to help you. And so once you start adding in timelines and your tags, that's when you can start creating spin-offs of this filter here, because now you're going to have A-rated leads, right? Or A+ leads, A leads, B leads, and so on. So an A+ lead, for example, in my opinion, is somebody that has a buying timeline or a selling timeline. Where's my buying timeline? Buying time frame is between now and the next 3 months. Those are my A+ leads, right? So you can essentially, and even if like you don't even necessarily have to put their last activity because you spoke to them, these people here, you should be touching base with them weekly, within every 7 days. So whether it is a text message that you are just simply checking in, like it doesn't have to be anything extensive, it's just letting these people know that you're there and you're helping guide them through the process, answering any questions, and so on and so forth. It's being, you know, that amazing customer service rep that is part of your position, is really what that's about. It could also be an email. So if it's catered, like a custom email catered to that specific person, not like a templated email or anything like that. It could be a phone call, of course, and have a conversation. If you've already spoken to them, it could even just be a voicemail. So keeping in mind that these leads initially are going to act on convenience, whatever is convenient to them. You have to build the trust. You have to build that loyalty so that they want to do business with you. And let them know that there is somebody there working for them. And the more you do that, the more obligated they will feel to utilize you, right? Not all of them. You're still going to come across some jerks out there, of course, it happens. But a lot of people start to see that you are, you know, taking care of them, and they respect and value that. And then, so these would be like A+ leads. Then you have your B+ or B leads, or A leads, sorry. So A+ is now instead of 0 to 3 months. Your A leads would be the next 3 to 6 months. So these leads, really, when you're looking at your point of contact, these leads you should be touching base with roughly every 10 to 14 days at most. Again, same idea, just checking in, seeing what they're up to. Now, when they are 3 to 6 months, you can choose to add the filter of last activity. So depending on how many are in this list of when they're last active. But again, you want to keep them being active and keep yourself top of mind. So I always say, just, you know, use it if you want to, but you don't want to eliminate the ones that become less active. You got to determine why they've stopped looking at listings. You need to know that, so you know how to follow up. And then you have your B leads, which would be your 6 to 12 months out. And then your C leads, essentially, which are your 12+ months out. So if they're 6 to 12 months, I'd say every 3-4 weeks, touching base with them, and maybe month to month. And then if they're 12+ out, then you'd want to touch base with them probably every 2 to 3 months, and kind of keeping track of that. Keeping in mind that people's situations can change overnight, right? So, you know, some people may not have been planning to move for another 6 months or 12 months, and then someone got a job offer that, you know, makes them have to move for whatever reason, or they're going through separation, or whatever it may be. There's so many different situations where everyone's life just all of a sudden turns upside down or sideways and plans don't go as originally anticipated. So does that filtering, does that give you better ideas, or any filters that you guys want to know how to use, essentially, that you're just not 100% confident on? How many of you guys here are actually active on lead gen? You guys have, like, are you generating leads, doing Facebook leads, doing any kind of business, or have business just coming in through your website through word of mouth?
I'm active on LinkedIn myself, but I don't find I get as much response as I expected from it.
Okay.
I still do it, but most of my leads come either Google or Facebook.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you can definitely, it's just, the response is just consistency, really, and it's really determining their motivations. Regardless, I always say people will try to avoid any kind of salesperson. Doesn't matter what kind of sales position you're in. It's just being consistent, and at the end of the day, regardless, you want to have that conversation with them, right? Because you need to know how and when you should be following up, so you can set that expectation with them that you are going to be doing that. Who do we have in the chat here? So Ravi, so after I'm generating but need to catch up on my calls. Yeah, that is common. Asta, you made your own. What did you want a copy of?
May I have the template that you said? Did you get the list? I didn't get a list.
The sample tags?
Yeah.
Okay, here, I'll put it in the chat for you guys.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Where is my chat? Attendees, there we go. And so there was a question on here that was, Ravi, do we have this CRM dialer on mobile as well? So yes. So the dialer does work on mobile. So you'd open the CRM in your browser on your cell phone. And if you get an email about a lead, there's always a button in that email that says, open lead in CRM. So same idea goes, is you would click on the phone number and hit dial lead. Now, if you're on this, so if you're on the lead currently, you would do that. So if the lead opened up, you click on their phone number, you hit dial lead like you would if you're at your computer, but you're just using your finger instead. Now, if you're on the main screen of your dialer and you're on mobile, there is going to be a call button. So if you guys notice, come on. If you guys notice right here, there's a green call button. This is simulating a mobile view. So you can just click that green call button and it'll automatically start dialing that person. It doesn't prompt you to dial it. You just click it, it just connects to the dialer in there. So one of the things that you guys have, and within here is, you guys probably, even if you are generating leads, need to catch up on those calls, do it. If you're not calling them, somebody else is, right? So don't be hesitant. Again, you're never here to sell somebody right from the gate. If you do that, you will have a lot of gates shut on you, let's put it that way. So it's just to really add value and let them know that that's all you're there for, to help them guide and offer, assistance when they need and so on. Now, there is, some of you may not know, is up here in this administration, you can access your user account. But another thing, if you guys are using Twilio, especially, is your statistics. So you can create even weekly competitions for yourself, just like little games, make it interesting. So if you want to change the date, it'll always default to the last month, but you can change it. So you always change the to, and then you adjust the from. So let's say in the last week, we can kind of go through and say, okay, last week I only made 6 calls and it was a total of 2 minutes. You know, I'm going to beat that. Next week, I'm going to double that. I'm going to do 12 calls. And, you know, the duration, obviously, it's reflective of conversations. But you will also have the stats on your pipelines. You'll see how those leads have been moving through the pipeline during that time as well. And then how many tags you've also added to your leads during that time period as well. And what tags. So this is a great way to kind of keep on top of yourself and tracking and creating little, you know, games for yourself or something to make it, you know, I don't know, a little bit more encouraging for yourself. Or maybe you're watching like how many people can I get to make contact this week versus last week, and little things like that that just have a little bit more purpose to it aside from the conversations. So really it starts just with one phone call. That's all it takes is you just have to start with one. The more you do it, the more confident you get at it. If you guys, you know, are a little bit nervous about it, you will learn what to say and what not to say and what's not working. One big thing is just because the timelines is super important. And just because they give you home search criteria does not mean they're planning a move anytime soon. So that's where that timeline is important, because what I would see from individuals is they would just go right away and just kind of focus on the person's criteria. We all know that that's not the main component, or the only component, I should say, of buying a house is criteria. So they would get the criteria, and right away, within the next couple of days, we'll ask, like, are you ready to go look at any properties? And then the people wouldn't respond. And then they would do it again. And then basically your leads start ghosting you, because you're trying to push them into something that they're not even anywhere near accomplishing in some cases. And so every time you do that, they take a couple steps in the wrong direction. So those timelines are super important for you guys to understand and know when to start asking about showings as well. So what I would encourage you guys to do is, what is it today? It's Friday. So even by next Friday, you know, challenge yourself to make at least 10 calls a day. It should take you no more than 10 minutes. And I'm sure we all have 10 minutes. And it might take longer if you have conversations, but that's what it's about. And then once you start having good conversations, it starts to get exciting, right? Because you know there's opportunities sitting in here. You just got to find that opportunity. And how we kind of refer to it as is saving those leads from your competition. So I imagine all of you guys have someone in your sphere of competition out there that you would rather not see people work with, because they're just not really, they're not great at their job. Let's put it that way. They're out there. I'm sure you all have encountered at least someone. I think we all have them in any industry. And so it's just kind of playing that game where it's like, I don't want this lead to go into the hands of this person. So I got to contact them and save them from that ever happening. And then it's kind of just changing your mentality around all of why you're calling these people. It's to really just help them and guide them through the process. And if you focus on customer service, the byproduct will be the sale.
May I ask a few questions about calling leads, or not yet?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so basically in the last 2 weeks, I've been getting a lot of messages as well as responses that please don't, we're already working with another agent. We're just searching online. That's number one. Number two, please stop messaging me, but they've looked at 15 properties. Or so like, I mean, I'm thinking, do I call these people, or do I just keep them as the contact that I follow up with in a couple of months just to see how things are going? And when they say that they're working with somebody, do I need to evaluate and see, are they committed to somebody? Like, I mean, I don't know, like, how far do I go in qualifying the people?
Well, so somebody that says they're working with another agent, one thing, we've all learned tactics in our life that get us out of conversations. Like when the duct cleaners used to call me all the time. My husband just recently lost his job. Like, that was the fastest way to get them off the phone. We didn't have money for that. Or you just say, we rent the house. We don't like, you know how to like kind of stop the conversation. So for realtors, the fastest way to get a realtor to stop communicating with you is to tell them you have a realtor.
Right.
On average, the average person knows 5 to 6 realtors. They know 5 to 6, just in their sphere of people. So it's very easy for anyone to say, I have a realtor. It's a matter of whether they're committed to that realtor or not. But at the same time, you're not going to sit there and hound them. If it's a text message, you're not going to be like, oh, you can ask, oh, I work in this area, I know all the realtors. Who's your realtor? You can put them on the spot too, because then they're like, oh, like if they don't have a name for you, or they just throw some random name out of that. So if you're on the phone with them, ask a question about it. So it's awesome. How long have you and your realtor been searching for a house for? That's, and then you can put into perspective. And same with text, you can acknowledge that. You're going to tag those people. What you would do is you would tag them as a future opportunity. They has an agent.
Okay.
Okay. So when you do that, basically you're just going to monitor this person, and I would probably check in with them in a month and call at that point and just say, hey, you've been receiving listings. I just wanted to check in, make sure, and have that conversation almost if you've never known that they actually said they had a realtor.
Well, that's interesting.
So because a lot of times their story will change, right? So it's just, and then even if you had that initial phone conversation with them, again, put the tag on them and then follow up with them again, not mentioning that previously we spoke, you said you had, you don't even mention, they're not going to remember the conversation with you in most cases after months. You're never pushing, and say you're not stepping on anyone's toes. But you can also ask them as well, there's a lot of realtors in this industry. There's a lot of newer realtors in this industry as well, or however you want to word it. And then just say, I just want to make sure, and I'm going to ask this question, are you 100% confident that your realtor is always in all conditions acting in your best interest? And sometimes just asking that question makes them think about it. Right. So we know the passive realtors that are out there. There are some, and I think there's probably times where almost probably everyone is passive at some point. If you're just swamped, maybe. It's just here, just go here, check out some, if you see anything, just let me know. That's their job, as being the realtor, right? So they're out there, we all know that, where they basically put the job on the buyer to do all the work, and just let me know when you want to see something and we'll go draft up an offer. And then you'll have situations, so just asking, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and I'm not here to steal business from anyone. That's not my intentions. I just have the fiduciary duty to ensure that everyone I'm in contact with is being treated, and that their agent is acting in their best interest at all times. That's all you have to say, and then follow up a month later if they're active, right? But what we're happening right now, so one thing why we're not deleting these leads in general, they're not going to be your main focus, because they've already indicated that they have an agent. You can check in on them. But what we see right now is a lot of people put their search on hold.
Right.
And their realtor might not even be following up with them and seeing how things are going and stuff. And then all of a sudden you're here just randomly hey, I just want to make sure everything's okay with those listings. And showing, some endearment towards them, and their realtor's MIA, just nowhere to be found. So that happens where, even outside of COVID, where someone puts their search on hold and the realtor just forgets, gets busy, doesn't follow up with them, and somebody else just swoops right in. Or people fire their agents, right? I'm sure you've come across some of your clients. All of you have probably had a client at some point that used to be the client of another realtor, that whether it was in multiple outs and they kept losing and they blamed the realtor, or their house couldn't sell and it had nothing to do with the realtor in a lot of cases, but they blame the realtor that the house isn't selling. And yeah, so all the situations change all the time with respect to that. For the person that says don't text me, just say, I would just acknowledge that and say, okay, I respect that you don't want to be contacted regularly. Do you mind if I give you a call every so often just to see him? I just want to make sure that everything's good and all your answers or questions are answered. You could always ask that, or just put a task in there. Like if you mark their number as opt out, then like if you're ever sending mass text or anything like that, it won't automatically go to them. It just kind of opts them out, kind of like an email opt out. But you can just remove that if you wanted to call them as well and just check in as well. Again, they're not necessarily going to remember all the things they've communicated with you as well.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Some people just get, and some people like, and I'm not saying you do it, but some agents just keep texting people. Like they'll just, like if you don't get a response from the first 2 or 3 texts, don't keep texting them over and over and over again. Try to get them on the phone because clearly they're not responsive to your text messages. They're ignoring them. Or if you are trying to get a response, you got to create a hook, something that would encourage someone definitely to respond. And that's the same as if you're sending an email trying to get a valid phone number from someone. There's got to be some sort of incentive. There's something in it for them to actually give you that information. In there.
Thank you.
No problem. This chat thing is weird. When
is Beverly's next call?
We are doing it on Wednesday this coming week because she missed the last week one. Yeah. So that actually brings me into that question for Ravi about scripts. So with scripts, one thing that we don't have is actually written scripts. And the reason why we don't have written scripts is because if you're reading off a piece of paper, you're never actively listening to the person you're talking to. You're always reading the script and hoping and if their answers aren't matching your script, then you're going to be hooped. You're going to be stuck. So what I'm going to share with you, and I'm not sure if you've been on it, Ravi, here is the live dials. So we have Beverly, she comes on typically twice a month and she calls leads live. And so you can actually listen to how she's communicating with these leads and what information she's grabbing from them initially on those calls. So she knows how and when to follow up with them. And then in certain situations, these people are ready to transact or have a lot of questions, or some of them are very talkative right now. And then at that point, she sets the expectation of the agent's going to give her a call because she's not the agent. She's like, and she makes that very clear if they have those questions that I'm not the best person to speak to this about. But those are there. There's little clips in there, so they're shorter little clips, various scenarios and so on. There is the full-length webinars in there as well if you care to watch all those, but I'll give you a good idea and understanding as to those scripts as well. And then let me just see here as well. Q&A. Can you show us where to go for the automatic emails that go out and sent out? I want to customize and change or update what goes out. Where can I access this and how do I turn this off and turn it on and off? So it depends on the automatic emails that you're getting. So if you are you on lead generation or are you on a branded website or both? So if you're doing the lead generation through the automated site, the only emails they get from you is the account activation email, which gets out as soon as they sign up, and the listing emails that they get out being sent to them. There's no other emails as part of that. There's no campaign or anything like that. If you are on the branded website, for example, you do have the buyer campaign, which is in the email campaigns. It's the legacy campaign. It's like the buying leads. That has a series of follow-up questions. If they fill out the daily listing alerts landing page, they're assigned to that. If you guys are manually assigning people to campaigns, I highly encourage that you don't use the legacy campaigns. They still work. It's just you have less control over them, and it's a really roundabout way as to how you have to edit these and adjust them and stuff like that. So you have all the content for any of these in the CRM. So all the emails are already there. You just have to rebuild that. Now, if you guys are on the automated site, you do have the ability in the email section here to update the listings. Okay, so if you want to actually brand those listing emails that go out, you can. So you can change this banner at the top as well as the footer at the bottom, and you can save it. And so that if you have like a header that usually goes on your emails, or it's on your website and you want it all there consistent, you can do that. If you need help with this, just email support@agentlocator.ca and they will help you do that. Yes, John, you have a question.
So my question is this: I'm wondering, is there a way, like right now, as an example, when someone registers to the website, I get a text message and an email.
Yes.
I only really want the text messages if they reply to my text message. I don't really want a text message every time they log onto the site.
Okay. Like, are you getting it every time they log on the site, or is it every time you just get a new lead?
Every single time they log on, every time they
oh, you've got your lead stuff set up. Hold on. Yeah. So basically, I'll show you. So it's the best way to access it is over here, and then go to your user account. It gives you a couple more options just when you're going. And so you go here, click on user accounts, then click on your name. And that's going to pull up your user preferences. You're likely going to see this right here that says lead alerts. So when you click on it, you probably have these all on. So you can modify them. So you can say, no, I don't want to, get, every time somebody comes on, I don't want to get a notification. So you can do that, or you can do it so it's only select leads. So you specifically specify which leads you get that notification for, if there's someone you're watching. Do you want to get notified? So you can change how you get notified as well in here.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want, so like if it's somebody that you're watching, or, most people want this if they like a property. And then this one is, you can't even change it. So this will actually send you an alert if they've been dormant for 30 days and then all of a sudden become active again, it'll automatically just send you that email. But this is generally where you would modify that. Another is under your profile where you have the SMS alert. So the SMS alert basically, and what that's going to do is anytime a new lead registers, you get an SMS as well as an email. So you can turn off the SMS alert if you don't want those notifications every time a lead registers on your website. You just want the email that comes with it, or you can keep it on and just manage the lead alerts so you're not getting bombarded with notifications about activity.
But if I turn off the SMS message alert, that's also going to turn off the ones that reply.
I don't think so. Does it? Have you tried that?
I'm pretty sure that's for like all SMS, replies, not just.
Here, let me just turn that off, and then we'll try it on here. And this is connected to my phone, I'm pretty sure. And this might go roundabout. Well, I think it's connected to this number too, so I don't know. So I got that SMS, and so if I show you right, nope, it's a different number. This one, that's why. So that's that, and then if I test back. Why did it push it back? It pushed it. I didn't do that. It pushed it twice to me for some reason.
So yeah, it says pending. Something tells me it's waiting for you to turn it back on, but I could be wrong.
Delivered.
Oh.
Test. Yeah. Which is weird. Oh, you know what? Oh. That's not what I wanted anyway. Because yeah, I went test. Oh, you know why? Because this is going to my phone. Hold on. It's because this number goes, this Twilio number is forwarding to this number. So when I do it, here, let me try it for myself, my direct number. It might be a little better. It's just going in a big circle. So now let me try on my cell phone and see what happens. So yeah, this response isn't going into the system. Now let me just go back to the user preferences and turn that back on. Oh, it just came through. I didn't save it, so it's still on off. It just came through. It just took a second for it to come through. I think. No, what just happened? I got it to my cell phone. So it came to my Twilio account. There, this is the number used in more of one. Oh, because I have it in more of one than account. Hold on, dude. Now I got to edit one of them. And, oh, apparently there's a lot that have that phone number. That's why it's cycling around. Well, that's actually here. Let me just delete all these people and see if that fixes anything. And I don't encourage you guys to ever do this, but all right. Now that those are deleted, now let's see if it works. There, now it worked. Now it has a destination. So yeah, it doesn't affect that aspect of it. It's just, I think if the new lead registers, you're not getting the SMS message when a new lead registers, if that makes sense. Thanks, Ravi. We'll see you next time. Oh, John got booted off. Where did, oh, allowed to talk.
All right, I'm back.
There you go. I don't know what happened. But yeah, so now it's working. So because I deleted all those extra numbers out of there and what have you. And yeah, so now that should be working. If you turn off the SMS notification, that I'm pretty sure is just for the new lead notifications. When a new lead comes in, you don't get those SMSs.
Okay, well, that makes more sense.
So if you want it all email or what have you, then you can do it that way. And then I feel like there might have been another.
Yeah, because even for me, I get messages. I wake up to like 10 messages.
Yeah.
On my phone.
Like, you're like, yeah. Oh. And then you just start overlooking them, right? And that's not what you want. You don't want to be like, you know, there's just too much, so you just start ignoring them. And then it just becomes ineffective at that point.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I find it in the emails it's sufficient to get it twice. Like
yeah.
One of those things, I only like to text if they're asking a question because I don't want them to wait for the answer.
Yeah.
But I mean, just let me know that they're online. I couldn't care less unless
yes.
You know, I see an email.
No, for sure, for sure. And then this is a question here that says, like, when people register late at night, you get the text in the middle of the night, how do I turn it off to a quiet period? So your notifications cannot be quieted like you can on the campaign. So the campaigns themselves have silent hours, so the lead isn't getting bothered, but it doesn't act the same way for you. So it'd be the same thing where you, sorry, my phone's ringing, where you would have the, you just turn it off. It's kind of like what we just did in the user account, where under your user account, you just simply click on your user account and then turn off the SMS alerts. So you're not getting those, but you can't silence it at night, essentially, like you can for the email campaign. No, so you cannot. So is there a way to have a pop-up box come up like when they register on the site that asks, do they have an agent? Have they been pre-qualified for a mortgage, that then they automatically allow us appropriate tags? No, unfortunately not on the website. You can't do this. This would be something that has to be globally done. And this will shut the door on yourself if you ask them right away if they have an agent and say yes, and you continue to contact them. You have like it's written in a system. Like I wouldn't do that. Pre-qualified, that's not a bad one. Essentially, have you apply for a mortgage? But yeah, the only way you could ever do this is actually no, you couldn't even do this. It's going to say with the landing page creator. But the landing page creator can only apply one tag based on if they fill out the form or not. With respect to that. And then just kind of go back quickly before we run here, those automatic emails. So if you guys ever want to edit those emails or create your own campaigns, you can go into the email templates. You'll see any categories here, like the default buyers campaign. This is that buyers campaign for daily listing alerts. You have all the emails there. You don't need this listing emails one, of course, because usually you have the other one. But you can edit these, okay? So you can go over here and click the edit button. Any short code that they have, 100% make sure that short code exists over here on the right-hand side. So there's lead data short code, agent, element, activities, and so on. So in this case, this campaign is not a short code in this list. So you would just remove that and change the subject of the email. Otherwise, that email will go out saying, campaign checkup. Because these again were built on the legacy system, not the current system. But you can definitely go in here and fully modify these emails that go out, which I highly encourage you guys doing. You want your communications to sound like yourself, not like a system created them for you. And short and sweet and to the point. So similar to this one here, it's short. Do not write massive pages of emails if you have a campaign. People can spot that in a heartbeat. It doesn't look genuine. It looks like it was prefabricated and like or pre-made and sent out and what have you. If it looks short and like this, it looks more realistic, like you're actually attempting to gain contact with them, right? So that is that. So once you kind of go in, you can even create your own email templates. Again, you have all these short codes. So the short code in this case is just drag and drop. It'll replace the lead first name when you're doing that. So you have some for yourself. So you'd always end your email with your signature below the content, and then you have all the editor tools and so on. You do have this question mark here at the top. Okay, so this question mark is going to give you some walkthroughs. And so it will change reflective of where you're currently situated in the system. So in this case, we are on the email section. So all of this is all relative to that. So once you have all your emails created, then you can start building out a campaign using those emails, whether it's a buyer campaign or seller campaign or whatever it may be that you're creating a campaign for. You can go into there, and there is again instructions on how to go about everything you need to know about those campaigns. It is pretty straightforward. So if you guys start building those email templates, and let's say you have all your emails that you want to build your campaign with, or SMS templates, because you can create SMS templates as well, incorporate both of those in your campaign. Then if you need help with the part of kind of starting to build that structure, we can even just schedule a quick 15, 30-minute call just to go over that aspect. Because once I can show you a couple, like how to do it and add those actions, it's going to come in complete and under sense to you, where you can just finish and finalize and apply those in there. You can also have them if you're on the automatic system. You can also have campaigns automatically assigned to leads based on their source or tag that they get when they first sign up, or the type of lead that they are when they register. So I hope that helps you guys. So we are a little bit past our 2 o'clock here. So if you guys, either you, John or Raheem, who's still on here, if you guys have any questions surrounding any of this, just let us know. And yeah.
Great, thank you.
You're very welcome. And then you guys have yourself a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
You too,
We'll
Crystal.
talk to you
Thank
later.
you.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.